Today the agenda of this presentation is that we will go through introduction of automotive plastic, types of automotive plastics, the opportunities that we have in the industry, the need of the hour, and we'll discuss about who is a design engineer and the difference between a good design and a functional design. We'll have an introduction of the course and the industry expectations. So we'll start. Here on the left side, you can see a car. This is the iconic Ford Model T. And on the right side, you can see interior of Tata Nexon. I hope you all are familiar with this one. So what is the difference between the two car you observe here? So if you observe clearly, you can see that the left one, which is Model T, has almost no plastic, whereas the right one, which is the interior of Tata Nexon, has a lot of plastics all around. So the dashboard, the sides, and everything is filled of plastic. So while a car in from 1950s had almost no plastic, from there in today's date, a typical automobile has more than 120 kgs of plastic, which is around 10% of the car's weight and 50% of the car's volume. Before moving forward, do you guys know that both these cars shown in this in the image share something first of its kind? So the Ford Model T is the first affordable mass production car in history, and Tata Nexon is the first Indian car that received a 5-star global NCAP rating. Coming back to topic, so why do you think this change in plastic adoption happening? To find out, let's first understand a little more about plastics. So, according to a recent study, for every 10% reduction in vehicles' weight, it reduces fuel usage by 6 to 8%. And current economic and ecological concerns make the production of fuel efficient car a high priority in the industry. And the properties of plastic, which is helping us achieving that, is that plastic has lesser weight, and apart from that there are many more properties of plastic that helps automotive industry, and which is forcing automotive industry to adopt more and more plastic. So for same, so plastic improves passenger safety and comfort, and it has more versatility, and plastic corrodes little lesser than metal, and with more versatility, and as designers know that plastics are easy to manufacture in mass production, they can bring in innovative design and extended vehicle life. Few decades ago, the official vehicle life of a car used to be 11 years, now which has increased to 17 years. And due to plastic easily deform, it absorbs energy. So these are few of the very key plus points of plastics, why automotive industry is adopting them. Now here we can see a car, and let's find out where all we use plastics in the car and what all plastics we use in a car. You can see that in interior trim, lighting, bumper, instrumental panel, dashboard, seating, wheel cover, upholstery, and many more places where we use plastics. And there is not one kind of plastic that we use. All these are thermoplastic, mostly semi-crystalline and amorphous, and we use different kind of plastics based on the design consideration and requirement. We in a car you can always find a minimum of 13 different type of plastics, but here are few of the mostly used plastics, which is polypropylene, polyurethane, polyamide, polyethylene, ABS, PVC, and PC. Let's find out now. Let us walk through the few of the top 6 plastics that we use and why we are using it. We'll find out. let's start with polypropylene. At the right side, you can see there's a car floor mat and car bumper. And apart from that, polypropylene, which is also commonly known as PP, also used in chemical tanks. Why so? Because polypropylene is very rugged and durable material for automotive parts and accessory. It is also known as highly resistant to different types of chemical solvent, bases, and acids, and that's why it is also used for chemical tanks. Next is polyurethane, which is commonly known as PUR. At the right side, you can see it is been used for car seats, door trims, and cushions and hard plastics as well. Why so? Let's find out. So polyurethane has a wide hardness range, which means we can make a PUR which is as soft as eraser to as hard as a bowling ball. That's why you can see it is used as the cushions of the car seat to the hard door trims. It is known for its extreme high flex, high load bearing capacity, and outstanding resistance to weather, ozone, radiation, oil, gasoline, and most solvents. Moving to next, which is polyamide. On the right side, you can see gears and bushing. So why we use polyamide for these things? Polyamide, which is also known as nylon, has a good mechanical property and wear resistance. So that's why in these moving parts, polyamide can be used because it is having a good wear resistance. It is also used when a rigid and stable material of low cost and high mechanical strength is required. It is highly water absorbent and swells in water environment. Moving to next, which is ABS. The full form is acrylonitrile butadiene styrene. At the right side, we can see it is used for wheel cover, then dashboard, which is also known as IP, and for various automotive body parts. Why so? Because ABS is popular due to its low production cost and ease of machining. It has outstanding high and low temperature performance, good insulation properties, and is very easy to paint and glue. Moving to next one, polyvinyl chloride, which is PVC. You all must have heard about PVC pipes used at homes. So that PVC is also used in automobile for sheeting electrical cables and upholsteries. Why so? Because PVC can be used to create multitude of rigid and flexible plastic products. One advantage of using PVC plastic is that it can be used in different type of plastic molding procedures. PVC is mainly known for its flexibility, great thermal stability, flame lead retardant, and extremely low lead content. Moving to next one, polycarbonate, which is also known as PC, is used for headlamp lenses, bumpers, and many other parts. Why so? Because polycarbonate offers a distinct combination of hardness, stiffness, and toughness. And due to its incredible impact strength, it is one of the top choice for the headlamp lenses, bumpers, even helmets, and also bulletproof glass. So we discussed about the 6 most used plastics in automotive industry. Now let's find out what opportunities do we have in plastic domain. Here on the right side, if you look at the graph, so this graph is showing the 100% content of a automobile over years. So in 1970, you can see the most material used was metal. Here you can see blue is for plastic, red is for rubber, brown is for silver is for metal, and yellow is others. So metal was around 75%, and then you can see plastic is less than 10%, and rubber and other are also less than 10%. From 1970 to 2020, you can see how much metal usage is reduced. It is around less than 60%, and plastic is around 20%. So as we mentioned earlier, plastic uses 50% of modern cars volume but weighs only 10% of the car's volume. So with the increase in plastic application, the high demand for plastic design profile like interior design, exteriors and trims in automotive sector is on a rise. In 2000 and we when we talk about just in Indian market, in 2019 India was the seventh largest manufacturer of commercial vehicle, and in 2020 India was the fifth largest automaker. There's a great push from government for EV, which is electric vehicles, and more players are entering the EV market. Even companies like Teslas are eyeing to enter India market. So even leaving the world aside, even if you look about India, automotive sector is rising, and in automotive sector, plastic is rising. So the opportunity is huge in the industry. Now, to grab the opportunity, what is the need of the hour? So there is a misconception in the industry that design engineer's role is to model a component using any CAD tool. Even when I joined the industry 7 years back, and when I started working in my first company, I knew multiple tools, CATIA, SolidWorks, ProE, which is also known as Creo, NX, and I could design few components in NX. I used to think that okay, I'm a design engineer, but which is wrong. That is a misconception. What we do using a CAD is called as modeling, and modeling is very different from designing. Modeling a component is done by CAD application engineers, and which are sometimes also called referred as CAD jockey, and they are not design engineer. In OEMs, you can find out different roles. For only modeling purpose, we have CAD application engineer role. For product designer, we have design engineer roles. To understand a few more about the difference between a CAD application engineer and design engineer. So any in automotive industry, it follows 8 phases of product development process, which is commonly known as PDP process. So out of 8 phases of PDP process, modeling comes within phase 4, and that too whole phase 4 is not modeling, just a small part of phase 4 is modeling. But a design engineer's role is from phase 2 to phase 6, which has many, a design engineer has to perform many tasks, but few of the important tasks that a design engineer has to perform is concept generation, DFMEA, detail designing, drawing creation, design validation, etc. These are very few tasks that I have listed down here, but a design engineer's role is way more than whatever I have shown here. So how do we define a design engineer? A design engineer's role is to understand the requirement and develop a product following the PDP process. Now let's understand what is a good design and what is a functional design. A design that looks good and incorporates all the design requirement is of no use if it can't be manufactured or assembled. So we all are sitting in front of a laptop, we all have our mouse. So let's take this example. If I ask you all to create a computer mouse, and you look at the mouse by your laptop and make an exact model of it, will it be sufficient? No. We are not a painter or sketcher. A painter is different, and a sketch and a design engineer is different. Only making, only defining the look and feel of a component doesn't suffice the requirement of a design engineer. To understand in detail, let's take an example. So here is a component and the requirement is to develop a plastic cover of this display part. So I created this cover which can go inside and wrap this up completely all around, right? So now is this enough? I have created this cover which I can check in the model that it is wrapping the part inside it. Is this enough? No. Why not? Because first of all, this type of structure cannot be manufactured conventionally. Even if we use high cost and use newer manufacturing process like let's say 3D printing and develop this part, even then how will we assemble it? So we have created as per the requirement, we have designed it in the tool, we have kept it within the part, but this is not the requirement that was asked for. So if we just change the top face from here to here like this, we can we can achieve the requirement, and now it can go inside and cover the part. So this is a very small example that I have shown, and everyone might be thinking that oh, this was so easy to understand and we could have done this way only. But this is just an example. When we are working on a component for an automotive product, so there are a lot of variable, lot of factors that comes into picture, and as the design engineer's responsibility is to understand and realize all the factors and come up with a design that is working all around. So how do we understand what is needed? How can we make a better design, right? So that is the introduction where we create a functional part. To create a functional part, we should understand DFM, which is also known as design for manufacturing. It is a design method to reduce the complexity of manufacturing operation and overall cost. And we need DFA, which is design for assembly. It is a design method to facilitate or reduce the assembly operations of parts. And we need hands-on experience. It will introduce all of us to the industry. For in design of manufacturing, there are a lot of consideration come into picture, like what is the thickness of the plastic part that should be, what are ribs and how to use them, what are gussets, what are boss, what is core out, what is undercut, what is draft angle, and so on. There are a lot of plastic defects that happen when we try to manufacture a plastic part. We should understand those plastic defects like sink mark and all, and we have to come up with a design solution how to eliminate those. Then in DFA, we design for manufacturing is for a single component, but we hardly create a part just as a single component. It's always used in an assembly. So next comes design for assembly, where we try to understand how to assemble the component with each other. So there are and also to find out the interference, the kinematic study, so that the assembly runs smoothly. So for that, we have to understand different type of attachments in plastic, and we have to understand how to perform interference study, kinematic studies, and all. So industry expectation. Few key points that we should remember is that automotive industry is an oligopoly market. Now, what is oligopoly market? Oligopoly market is where handful of manufacturers dominate the market, but it's open for free entry and free exit. So because of this market type, technology war and price war is very common, which means the if you see in the industry or the companies, automotive manufacturers, there is always a technology war and price war. Technology war brings in innovation, which is protected by IPs and patents, and gives the automotive manufacturer an upper hand. For example, if we see Apple phones, so their price is very high, but their sales rely on the technology. All the new version that come out, they have some new technology in it. Then comes to price war. In price war means a deeper understanding of current technology to find out ways to reduce cost. Like for example, again in mobile, if I give you an example, Xiaomi phones are good and they are very cheap. They might not bring the latest technology for the first time in the market, but once Apple or other company launches something, they would understand the technology, reduce the cost, and then bring up those things. So similarly, the example we have seen in Apple and Xiaomi, similarly, car manufacturers also rely on these things. And this is not the only thing. Obviously, marketing, after sales service, and these things are also important for a car to sell. But we are discussing in point of design engineers how we can contribute. So for that, technology war and price war is important where manufacturers sell the car. Now, next is now let's understand the industry expectation. If we look at the graph here, the x-axis is time and y-axis is cost. This is showing the development of a plastic component, this graph. So we have divided this as design phase and production phase. So till here we design a part, and from here we start manufacturing it, and this is the call as design and development process. Now here you see the design part in the PDB phase is small and production part is huge. But this is showing the, okay, before that, this curve is showing the incurred cost. Incurred cost means how with time a project, if I have a project to develop a plastic part, how with time the cost incurs for that project, right? So it starts with zero and it keeps increasing, and if the ultimate target price is 10,000, so this would reach here 10,000. And this curve is showing committed cost. Committed cost means how and why, on what basis we commit a cost of this part. Like if we are making a, again, this laptop mouse, right? So how much, what should be the cost of that mouse? Should it be 1,000 or should it be 1 lakh? So for that, we this curve is showing the committed cost, and this trend is showing that 70 to 80% of the decisions that we take help in decides the committed cost of the part. So as a design engineer, we have the opportunity to reduce the cost by 70 to 80%. And once the design is frozen and the steel is cut and now the plastic is being getting manufactured, only 20 to 30% scope is there to reduce cost in production phase. Like for an example, in production phase, how can we reduce cost? If we increase the the assembly line capacity. So earlier the part, we in 1 hour we were manufacturing 100 parts. Now we have come up with some new ways so that we can manufacture 1,000 parts in an hour. So this is one example how we can reduce cost in production phase. In design phase, how we can reduce cost. So it's like what manufacturing process we are going to approach for this one. Like injection molding is one of the simplest one. And within that, there are side cores, there are undercuts, and how to eliminate those things. So we have to design a part which is very uh, cheaply manufactured and out of all the options available, and then how are we going to assemble the parts, how many number of components do we need to make the system. So all those decisions we are going to take in the design phase, and that's how 70 to 80% design cost, committed cost, is decided in design phase. So understanding DFM and DFA helps a design engineer understand the complete product life cycle and reduce product cost at the design stage. So having the cost commitment curve in mind, meaningful cost estimates are crucial and should be performed as early as possible. That's where DFM and DFA, which collectively known as DFMA, comes into picture. And this is what we will need to understand to become a design engineer in automotive plastic. And with that note, I end my presentation.